is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We are back here for another one. It's Raiders week, baby. The bye week is done, and everything other than the Steelers win basically went the Dolphins' way. It's a beautiful time to be alive. Other than the Steelers, I mean, look at the Ravens blew it late against Cleveland. Love it. The Bengals, hey man, we all thought CJ Stroud's the real deal right now. You got to give that man his props for what he's doing in Houston right now. Bengals tried to come back, couldn't get it done. Jaguars get absolutely destroyed by the San Francisco 49ers. It was at 34-3, I believe, something like that. And then, hey, so these teams gain no ground in the playoff race on us. Love that. But then we get to sit back and, I mean, that laughable Mac Jones interception, if you guys didn't see that, oh my God. You know, I remember people in this community years ago trying to say, Mac's better than Tua. And I was over here saying, yo, Mac is not the real deal. Watch. Was I not? I told everyone what the deal was with Mac Jones. And here we are. Mac is whack. What do we called him here since he got drafted? Macaroni Noodle Arm Jones. Whack Jones was originated here. I know other channels and platforms have tried to snipe that from me, but Whack Jones, that terminology was originated here. Never been a Mac Jones fan. Wasn't a fan of him coming out. I thought he was very much so elevated and protected by his coaching staff in year one. Now that they've had to take the reins off, it's a disaster. And it's not all his fault. The coaching around him has been an absolute disaster too. But he's getting to the point where Tua was if McDaniel didn't step in. The coaching was going to breed bad habits. And bad habits after a long time are unbreakable. The longer Mac Jones is caught in this flux, he's just going to get worse for him, and it's going to be... So look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold had all the tools coming out, but Sam Darnold didn't go to the right team, didn't go to the right coaches. See, people try to make it out to you guys like it's a bad thing to be a system quarterback. It's a bad thing to have a offense tailored to your quarterback when that's how the NFL works. Go back to Bill Walsh. West Coast offense with Joe Montana. Joe Montana was not a ridiculous regular season quarterback. But when those lights came on, ladies and gentlemen, he balled in the playoffs. And he was in a system tailored to him. You know, look at what Harbaugh's had to do. Harbaugh had to tailor a system to a quarterback of Joe Flacco's strengths and then to a quarterback of Lamar Jackson's strengths. That's a very difficult task and a very hard task. But that's how the game is played, and that's how it's won. Right? You're playing to the strength. Look at our offense plays to the strengths of not only Tua, but to the speed of our receivers and to the guys out of the backfield. That's what you got to do. You got to play to the strength of your personnel. People try to make it out like it's some bad, big boogeyman thing when it's really not. And when you get people who aren't playing to the strengths of their quarterback, you get what we're seeing with Mac Jones. Right? You're seeing it. So, you know, and then there's guys who just don't have it. You know, Zach Wilson, you know, I liked Zach Wilson's tools coming out, but the thing that always bugged me, if you go back and listen to when I talked about him, I hated how all of his plays came out of structure. Zach Wilson at BYU wasn't sitting in the pocket and dicing and slicing people up. Everything he did came out of structure. And that was kind of worrisome. You know, you want to see that stuff happen in structure too, right? You know, so didn't happen, but everything is going the Dolphins' way right now. What can you say? And just a quick update for all of you who want it. This is where we're looking at right now. Miami's currently 4th in playoff seeding. Look at this. Houston with that win jumped Cincinnati. Buffalo is on the outside looking in right now, ladies and gentlemen. They need to win tonight to bump down the Houston Texans. That's what they need. So there is your updated playoff look. Hey, man. Dolphins could be worse, baby. Could be worse. That's all I got to say. You know? But the teams that we needed to not take care of business didn't. Baltimore, that loss shocked me. I won't lie. That loss shocked me. I thought they had that in. I thought they had that in the bag, to be honest with you. Man, your boy came close on some parlays yesterday. Ha 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 ha. Man, I had a 4 anytime score touchdown parlay yesterday. Unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable how close I came. I had, who'd I have? I hit Jake Ferguson scoring a touchdown. Who else? I hit someone else hitting a touchdown. And then my 2 misses. Oh, my God. I had an anytime touchdown from Sam Laporta, and they threw a seam route to Brock Wright, who scored, and I almost about lost my mind because I'm like, well, there goes that Sam Laporta touchdown that I needed, and the big one that hurt. I really should have hit 3. I don't understand how this didn't happen. Yesterday, what was crazy to me was, man, I had Trey McBride. So I had Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, Brian Robinson, and Jake Ferguson as anytime touchdown scores. Like $20 on that, paid like over $2,400. And Trey McBride has like a 130-yard game but doesn't get in the end zone with Kyler. Right? Sam Laporta has 40 yards. That's seam route to Brock Wright. What? And then I hit on Brian Robinson and I hit on Jake Ferguson scoring. I was absolutely shocked. I thought that might have been a sneaky good money bet, man. Sneaky good money. I hit, and I told all the Patreon, we're going to get into that in a sec for all y'all. I told all the Patreons on my 3-take video, man, that Addison was paying this week. Devontae Adams was paying yesterday too, but Jordan Addison was paying and he hit. I hit on that. Debo was paying at plus 110 yards, receiving yards. Missed out on that, but man, there were some good plays this weekend if you hit it. Listen, I already put it out for Patrons. I put it out for channel members yesterday. So now I'm putting it out to the general public. I'm doing a giveaway. I got 3 shirts from Vibes Miami to give away. All right? One's going to go exclusively to Patrons. One's going to go exclusively to channel members. Channel members and Patrons, you don't have to do nothing. Just being a channel member and a Patron, you are entered into those individual draws. And if you are a channel member and a Patron, you're entered into both. All right? Now, for the general subscriber public, you have to be subscribed to the channel. Then you have to go to episode 901. After this is uploaded, I will link. So all you watching live will get first dibs if you're not a channel member or a Patreon already. You will go over to episode 901. You will use hashtag MVP and tell me who your midseason MVP was up until that point. This is going to be open for about 2 weeks. I'm going to do the channel member and the subscriber draw same day. All right? Same stream, same day. I'll remind you guys every episode what the deal is. Episode 901, the last episode I did on Friday. Go back to it, like that video, make sure you're publicly subscribed to me, and also comment who is your midseason MVP. Use hashtag MVP. What are you getting? Now, for the general public, I will be giving away this shirt, okay? This Vibes Miami shirt. It is the Tua player shirt. Okay, that's the front. Here's the back for all of y'all. All right? So I'm giving away this Miami Nights white shirt. There's a Tyreek Hill version for Patreons. And that is here's the Waddle version for channel members. Okay? Waddle version for channel members. And then for the Patreons, here is your Tyreek Hill version. All right? So I will give away the Tua one to subscribers. The Tyreek Hill one is going to be a draw for Patreons, and it will be a draw for channel members for the Waddle one. So if you want to enter that draw, I will leave it open for 2 weeks. You got to go to episode 901. You got to like the video. You got to comment using hashtag MVP because that's how I'm going to be able to search out the entries. Hashtag MVP. Just use that in your comment and tell me who your midseason MVP is. Okay? So that's it. That's all you got to do. I will then contact the winners when this all goes down, and I will mail them directly from me because I already have them in hand. All right? So that's how you enter. I will remind you guys each episode, and after today, I will put it in the description, the episode, the direct link, so you can just go down and click on it. But I'll do it after I'm done the stream here. I'll put it in the description below, okay? So there you go. All right? 3 different giveaways, 3 different ways to enter. Be a Patreon, be a channel member, or just be a subscriber. All right? And if you're all 3, kudos to you. So, and I appreciate you. Speaking of my Patrons and channel members, man, huge thank you to all of you. And hey, if you're not a channel member, if you're not a Patron, do me the favor. Just smash the like button. Takes less than 2 seconds, costs you nothing. So just smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. We are past 13,000. We had that KC week was absolutely fantastic for the channel. Let's get back there, baby. And let's get back there starting this week with a win over the Raiders. And Aiden O'Connell, I ain't scared. Let me tell you that. Now, let's get into everything today. So, we got some good news on the rookie front. So let's get into it today. Coach Mike McDaniel announced that running back De'Von Achane on IR with a knee injury is having his practice window open today. I heard he was explosive. I heard he was cutting. I heard it was looking good. And listen, this is not a surprise to me, or this is not a surprise to you guys if you watch the channel, because I told Patreons and channel members weeks ago, and I think I've dropped it here while I've been live, the idea from the get-go was him to be back the first week after the bye. And then we found out some extra details from Coach McDaniel today that Achane could have played during that period he missed. He could have played. The issue was he would have had to wear a brace. There was no tear. It was just a sprain. So we all know, yes, I know a sprain is a slight tear. I get it. But we're talking about like an actual tear. So he could have played with a brace, but they said, no, let's get him healthy. Let's get him where we need to be. And so there it is right now. Listen, I've told you guys for weeks, whether you're a Patreon, a channel member, or a subscriber here, the plan has been Achane the week after the bye. After what I'm hearing today, how practice went. After this, we saw how quickly Armstead returned when that window was open. I expect De'Von Achane to be in uniform this weekend. Now, will he be totally supplanting Salvin Ahmed? God only knows. I hope so. But will that happen? Will they throw his feet right into the fire right away? I don't know. We'll find out as the week does progress in regards to that. But, man, how exciting is this, man? You know, listen, the trade deadline's passed, but even with the trade deadline passing, we talked about how we got the addition of Ramsey before that. However, you're going to be getting more reinforcements after that. And here comes another one, man. And, you know, like, I got to tell you, it tickles my fancy to watch this fan base get so excited about that player coming back, just because everyone knows how much I love that player and how badly I wanted us to draft that player and for how long I wanted us to draft that player. And to see it working out at the capacity it's working out right now, to see fans as excited as they are about his return, man, it's really good to see. And you know what? Like, listen, just let him loose. Take the reps away from Ahmed. Ahmed don't need the reps. Ahmed ain't doing a ton with the reps right now. He's just not. So make something happen with those reps. Give them, like, you know, we saw them run that flip trick play to Ahmed, and we saw the space that was in front of Ahmed, and he couldn't break the tackle. You know, Ahmed's just not there yet. I don't know if he's ever going to be there yet. He just feels like a better version of Kalen Ballage to me. You know, that's just what it feels like. You see the tools, you see the speed, you see the burst, but you see the lack of vision. You see the lack of overall elusiveness and shedding tackles. You know, it's kind of like the Jerome Baker of the offense. You see the tools with Jerome Baker, but you realize, man, he's just a wide 9 will linebacker who he basically he's an off-ball blitzing linebacker. That's it. Well, that's what you feel with Achane. Achane is a guy where, okay, you got to get him the ball, but you got to get him the ball in space. Because if you don't get him the ball in space, he's probably not going to break a tackle. He doesn't have the vision to break it off into something real big. You know, it's just he's like the offensive version of Jerome Baker. It is what it is. Don't ever let it be what it ain't. And we were trying to let it be what it wasn't. You know, Achane, he's just never going to hit that ceiling, man. If you're not going to hit that ceiling in this offense and with this coaching staff, brother, it ain't happened. And I hate to be the one to tell you. Mostert's out here having a career time here. But we saw Mostert and what he did in that 2019 San Fran playoff run. So we saw it. But now this staff is taking it to another level. Achane just can't do it. Achane just can't do it. And I don't think, I think it's going to be a guy you're going to eventually have to move off of. So what happened, ladies and gentlemen, finally happened. The Miami Dolphins went through with it. We talked about how they tried out multiple receivers last week. We talked about it on the finish line, actually. It was last Wednesday when we talked about it. It happened the day before. It happened last Tuesday. Okay, so there's some things to break down with this. But anyways, former Browns receiver Anthony Schwartz, the 2021 third-round pick from Auburn, has signed with the Miami Dolphins practice squad. This is very interesting. I don't see this as a short-term play. I don't see this as, okay, just get him in here the rest of the season and we're not going to activate. Because remember, they only have I believe they only have till Wednesday to activate Craycraft. They only have till Wednesday to activate Craycraft, or else he's out for the rest of the year. I don't see Anthony Schwartz hey, it could happen. Anything's possible. But I don't see him impacting that. I see this as a long-term play. I see this as get him in here now. We're losing bodies next year in the offseason. We're going to lose Barrios probably. We're going to lose bodies. Bring him in, and let's see if he can stick next offseason. Let's see if he can, through next offseason, through training camp, etc. Let's see if he can contribute. That's what I see this is. This guy runs a 4.27, okay? Listen. And it's deeper than that with Anthony Schwartz. Okay? We know Achane was fast enough to qualify for the men's Olympic 200 team. We know Tyreek Hill has gone out here and straight up ran this stuff. He don't joke around. So we know this has gone on, but this is another guy. Anthony Schwartz is another guy. He's literally we're talking literal Olympic pedigree here. Schwartz held the world under 18 best in the 100 meters between 2017 and 2022. Another Pembroke Pines guy, so but remember this guy. He ran a 100 meter in 10.09 seconds. Ran a 200 meter in 20.47 seconds and a 60 meter in 6.59. He was, I believe he finished in the World Under 20 Championships. He was first in the 4x100 meters relay. He was second in the 100 meters relay. And in 2017, in the Pan American Under 20 Championships, he was on the first place team with the U.S. on the 4x100 meters relay. This guy's no joke when it comes to speed. He's no joke. He was injured this offseason, and then he was waived, I believe September 19th by them. But we're talking about a guy that's no joke here, ladies and gentlemen. Anthony Schwartz has speed. And I think the plan is here. Listen, rotate him in as a punt returner and a kick returner if you can, not just Barrows. Give him a chance. Schwartz can do that for you. But in terms of getting reps and working him in as a receiver, I don't expect an impact from that outside of maybe an end around or jet sweep if he's active, if he's even active. I don't see anything beyond an end around or jet sweep. But even still, this could be another guy where they're saying you can't teach speed. That's one thing you just cannot teach. But, guys, we have one of the best wide receiver coaches in the NFL right now, Wes Welker. We all saw the leap Izakama took from year 1 to year 2 and the impact he was ready to make before he got hurt. If anyone's going to get this kid right, because why he didn't stick in Cleveland was the nuanced stuff of the position, right? Properly stemming your routes, keeping that explosion in and out of your breaks, right? The crispness and cleanness of your breaks, getting down the timing of an offense. The nuances of where is why he wasn't sticking. Well, he was overdrafted. He should not have been a 3rd round pick. Let me put you that. He should have been a 5th round pick, a day 3 pick, a late day 3 pick that you develop. But they drafted him in 3rd, so that sped up the process in Cleveland. Those expectations aren't here in Miami. They want to stash him on the practice squad, and they want to develop that speed. That's what the idea is here with Schwartz. It's not, hey, sign him. Craycraft ain't happening, so put him out there. Listen, now, could he be active this season? Sure, 110%. That speed's crazy. But I think it's going to be more of a special teams. Now, will he get reps here and there? I'm sure they'll want to see what they have. But it's going to be more of a special teams, I think. Now, hey, if he's active in the playoffs for some reason, and he's that acclimated to the offense we're talking January, you might see something. I don't know. But if I get anything in year 1 out of Anthony Schwartz, that's more than what I expect. I expect this to be, they're trying to see if they can get him in here, teach him the nuanced things, see if he can stick through next offseason, into training camp, into the preseason, and see if you can develop something there. That's what I think the term is. Because, guys, they're losing bodies next year at the receiver position. They're not going to have the money. They're just not going to have the money to bring back Barrios and such, right? So, Kyle F. says, this is completely off topic, but I took a break from Dolphin football, but I feel like we have the talent to be the best team in the league, but why can't we put it together? He says, you don't got, and then he did not finish. I'll wait for you to finish. Listen, they can put it together. It's something. May the Schwartz be with you, by the way. Listen, they can put it together. We've seen it. It's just certain things have held us back, right? I mean, that's just what has happened. Last year, they put it together at home against the Bills. They beat the Bills at home. I'd call that putting it together, no? Especially Tua got knocked 3 ways to Sunday, and they still put it together, and he still outplayed Josh Allen. His throw to Waddle was the biggest throw of the game. We have put it together. Listen, it goes back to my show last week. This team aren't frauds. This team, no. This team is not good on the road. And this has gone back to Flores. This isn't something new. When we had to win and get in against Buffalo to his first year, Andrew Van Ginkel was the only one who got off the bus. Hey, Tua, we had 13 drops that game. If you actually go and sit there and count them, we had 13 drops. Tua should have had over 500 yards in that game against Buffalo in that win and get in. Only one of those 3 interceptions was on him, the one he overthrew over the middle of the field. But the other 2, one hit the hands, popped up, pick. Same with the other one. What was it? DVP either ran the wrong, he slipped. Tua made the throw, but DVP slipped and got picked off. I mean, we've seen this. They put it together against Kyler Murray in Arizona in Tua's rookie year. We saw them. Right? We've seen this team put it together. The thing is, this team's not good on the road. That's what the deal is. The reality is, we are not good on the road. You want to know how not good on? Against 2022, 2023 playoff teams, The Miami Dolphins are 4-9. All right? Check this out. But they're 2 out of those four, that 4-9, 2-8 on the road. 2-1 at home. When we lost to the Bills, what was your boy saying? We need home field advantage. We need home field advantage. We need home field advantage. That's what the deal is. That's why I said that. Think about that for a sec. 4-9 against 2022 playoff teams. 2-8 on the road. 2-1 at home. We got a winning record at home. We get home field advantage in that first round. We're winning. So, I've said that before. I'll say it again. And look at, this isn't just a, Flores. Back when Flores was around. Blew the Atlanta game was on the road. In his last year. Blows out Atlanta game. Tua brings us back in the fourth quarter. We're up by 2 points when he gets off the field with only a couple minutes left. Flores in his championship caliber defense blow the game, let up the 3-point field goal, we lose. And they also lost Urban Meyer, but I believe that was at home. But this team's had Tennessee game. Look at the Tennessee game. Sure, was Tua off? Yeah, the weather. I talked about this game ad nauseum. Remember, I was the first one to break the argument between Tua and Flores at halftime. I was the first one to break that before it hit the national publications weeks later when he got fired. I was already breaking that. Anyways, that game. What did I say? Go back and watch that game. Now you've had a couple years to digest it, right? Reason was right then, too. Look at what Tennessee did. Tannehill, early on, they were pushing the ball to or beyond the sticks. Tannehill was inaccurate. What happened? Everything after that came off play action and was short. They barely pushed the intermediate level. And if they did, it was like 12 yards, right? What were we doing? Pushing the ball. And who was, you guys will remember, the name is slipping my mind. But the former Hurricane running back we had at that time, remember, he was running the football. He was the only one on offense who looked like he was doing anything. What was it? Duke Johnson, right? Remember, it was Duke Johnson was the only one who looked like. And instead of feeding Duke Johnson, we were pushing the ball beyond the sticks. The game plan was shit. The adjustments were terrible. Well, you saw Tennessee make the proper adjustments, and they had success off of it. Duke Johnson was screaming that game. Not actually, literally, but figuratively through his play, was screaming, "Feed me the ball." And then they sub in, who was it? Jordan Howard started getting reps and stuff too. It was just a mess. Man. So this has gone beyond just, this is a personnel thing. Because a lot of them don't know how to win. Who are our winners on the team? Jalen Ramsey, Tyreek Hill. Those are the biggest. I don't count Ogba because he was hurt when the Chiefs won. Who are the biggest winners on our team? Tyreek Hill, Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey just started playing. And let's be honest, I've had this conversation with y'all before. I'll have it again. Tyreek Hill, Bills game last year in December. Tua's playing MVP level. Tyreek and Sherfield both dropped what would have been a game-winning touchdown in the end zone in the first half, not to mention what Boyer did in the first half on the 3rd and 17, and then we let up a touchdown defensively before the end of the half. But Tyreek, ball in your hands, blows it. All right? Eagles game this year. Tyreek has a walk-in touchdown. Tua makes a throw. That changes the landscape of the game. Drops it. Chiefs game. Tyreek drops the ball at the 30-yard line. Leaves 3 to 7 points on the board. Then he fumbles later in that first half at the 31-yard line of the Chiefs. That's another 3 to 7 points. We lost 6 to 14 points off Tyreek against the Kansas City Chiefs alone. And really, it's a 13 to 21 point swing because we lost 6 and gave up 7, or we missed out on 14 and gave up 7. So it's actually a 13 to 21 point swing on that one fumble from Tyreek. Plus his drop. And he's one of our biggest winners here and one of our biggest leaders. And I love the man. Might be the most talented player to ever wear our jersey. But the facts are the facts, baby. I don't know what to say. And then, hey, call a spade a spade. Tua and Mozart are hurting out last year. If we have either one of them, we beat. Well, if we have Tua, we beat the Bills in the playoffs. So there's a lot of blame to go around, man. There's a ton to blame, and I can go back years to recent. I can go back. What do you want to do? What year do you want to handle the blame? It's a personnel thing. Look at it the same way I harp on the defensive personnel for the fundamentals they've been messing up under Flores, Boyer, and Fangio, whether it be tackling, poor angles, right? Being overall generally poor in open space. You know, the fundamental stuff. It's the same stuff. So, hope that's a good enough answer for you. That's the long form of the answer. That is the long form of the answer, man. But listen, I just got to give you another tease on Anthony Schwartz. I do. Look at this man's 40. Look at Anthony Schwartz run this 40 right here. That man is a blazer, ladies and gentlemen. Come on right now. Yeah, like that is world-class speed right there. Holy good gracious. Whew. Get that in space, huh? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I'm telling you, this man's no joke. That is no joke whatsoever, that speed. All right? You can see why they're taking this shot, why they're investing in it. It makes a ton of sense. It really, really does. You know what I mean? I got to show you this, guys. Like, we're going to get into some stuff here. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Even after their bye, the Miami Dolphins offense still leads the NFL in points and yards. It's a measure of how dominant the Dolphins offense has been this season that even after having their bye week, they lead the NFL in both total points scored and total yards gained, despite having played only 9 games, while a third of the league has played 10 games. The Dolphins have scored 285 points this season, 15 more than the second-place Ravens, and gained 3,918 yards, 260 more than the second-place Lions. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa leads the NFL with 19 touchdown passes ahead of every other quarterback, including the ones who played 10 games. And Tyreek Hill leads the NFL with 1,076 receiving yards ahead of every other receiver, including the ones who have played 10 games. Also, guys, Tua fell to number 3 in yards. My boy Sam Howell was like 160 yards ahead of him. But Tua will get back up there this week. As a team, the Dolphins have a shot at one of the NFL's most significant offensive records for yards gained in a season. Miami is on pace to finish this season with 7,401 yards, just short of the record of 7,474 set by New Orleans in 2011, a Drew Brees record. Wouldn't that be interesting? This Dolphins offense has a chance to be remembered among the best ever. Yeah, see? Show me in the article where they're crying about a loss in week 9. I saw someone say, if this team loses to the Raiders in week 10, they're not ready to compete for a championship. Really? Name me an NFL team who's been defined by a week 10 win or loss, no matter the quality of an opponent. This mentality is unbelievable. I don't know who started this mentality, but, I mean, this is, whoever started this and whoever believes in this mentality, for the love of everyone holy, take an IQ test so we can at least acknowledge you're below the spectrum. Okay? My God. It's just awful. It's just ridiculous. Look at what this offense is doing. Because, guys, why do all these good teams keep losing to these bad teams? What are we talking about right now? Huh? Let's be real here. If you are real here with yourselves, look at the Dolphins' numbers against losing teams compared to all these other teams everyone wants us to be like. Seriously. I mean, I believe the Detroit Lions and the Miami Dolphins are the only two teams undefeated against teams under 500. Think about that one for a second. So, but we're the jabronis, right? Us and the Lions are the only two teams undefeated against teams under 500, yet all these other teams, like the Chiefs and such, who have faced teams under 500, are not. But we're the jabronis for taking care of business better than what these other teams took care of. Make that one make sense. Over 350 of you in the room. Subscribe if you are new. Appreciate all y'all for coming through and supporting today. Listen, I want to go over this because the bond between Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel, ladies and gentlemen. It's on the Washington Post. Listen, it is something to behold. That is for sure. So, let's get into this. I want to read this with all you guys. Mike McDaniel needs a reboot. Mike McDaniel's batteries are fading, and like usual, it's his voice that goes first. The Miami Dolphins coach is normally upbeat and witty, a little on the goofy side, all part of his considerable charm. But McDaniel's mental gears don't turn so much as they grind. One of his friends jokes that at any given time, there are no fewer than 3 conversations going on in his head. If I'm focusing on just one thing, McDaniel says after one long day, his words heap of dead leaves. How many other things am I ignoring? So much talking and thinking, it wears on a man, leading to an organization fine-tuning one of the most explosive offenses in NFL history, rebuilding a talented quarterback. When McDaniel watches film in his office, usually it's on the TV and the projector screen, visitors pop in and the coach engages with each one. Eventually, the cranial dam springs a leak and McDaniel starts forgetting stuff. Basic things such as the human body requires water. One colleague is always issuing reminders that he hydrate lest he attempt to survive on junk food and energy drinks alone. No one signed up for 50 or 25% of me. They deserve the best I have. I'm always wearing the idea that you can't be 2 places at once. So the second that this is next to go, McDaniel's ability to complete a sentence. When this happens, a coworker says McDaniel isn't talking, he's buffering. The second that he continues, the second that all things are taken care of, to the esteem of my particular level of expectation, whatever that the machine needs a reboot. McDaniel can feel it. He's an NFL coach, though, with a formidable to-do list. He could always grab a nap on his office sofa just past the Yale football helmet and fake ferns, something McDaniel's wife, Katie, encourages. After all, this is a business in which great ones never step away. The 100-hour work week is an unquestioned path to the Super Bowl. That's precisely why McDaniel does question it. Just 30 minutes away, he says the greatest energy reset known to man is waiting. So with this in mind, Pro Football's most against-the-grain figure does something truly revolutionary. He turns off the film and heads home. A sizzling day on the Miami practice field, and McDaniel's in sweats, bouncing from one position group to the next. He goes up on tiptoes to rest a hand on a lineman's shoulder pad. He glides towards the wide receivers, some of the fastest men to ever suit up, and the key to the Dolphins' warp speed attack. The coach is 40 and slender, 5'9" in a land of giants. Elsewhere in the multi-universe, his Ivy League education, aviator shades, and off-white Air Force Ones would make him the swaggy but unusual fellow in your office's internal audit division. He eats like hell, too, an affront for the NFL's veer towards monitored micro diets. He claims to have avoided vegetables until college after an uncle traumatized him years earlier with a plate of green beans. I dry heave to this day, he says. But here's the weird part. At work, he doesn't yell or berate or shame. Tools as central to the coaching arsenal as the whistle. He allows players to control the music, assistants to establish their own work schedules, everyone to ask the NFL's most taboo question, why? From the crustiest veteran to the greenest rookie, McDaniel isn't coach, he's Mike. It's amazing what happens, he says, if you just let go of doing anything out of insecurity. If the past century has proved anything, It's that success in the NFL relies on a few unarguable principles. The first is that sleep is for losers. Kansas City's Andy Reid worships at the altar of the 22-hour workday, and the staff of Mike Shanahan used to go through 20 pots of coffee a day. These guys won 2 Super Bowls each. The second is that family is critical. Nothing matters more so long as the coach's wife is willing to raise the kids, manage the household, clear the desk while her husband does the important stuff. When Joe Gibbs, Coach Washington, and his wife Pat recorded fake dinner time conversation so Joe could catch up on what their 2 sons were doing, he won 3 Super Bowls. The third and most important, players aren't people. They damn sure aren't peers. In America's most cutthroat sport, a $20 billion a year industry in which everyone is fighting for their professional lives, thinking of anyone in terms beyond that is a fungible asset is a trap. New England's Bill Belichick has proved that 6 times over. One of Belichick's many disciples, Brian Flores, coached the Dolphins before McDaniel. He did things the old way, the proven way. When quarterback Tua Tagovailoa struggled as a rookie, Flores lit him up. Tagovailoa looked rattled during a game, Flores benched him. Then started him the next week, then benched him again. But Flores got fired. The Dolphins hired McDaniel and came to the philosophy that's unusual in this business, albeit less and less in the rest of society. Miami's rise comes amid a cultural reexamination of leadership, people management, and parenting, a growing belief that successful, confident people be neither brutalized nor micromanaged. That it's possible to be good at your job and be happy. McDaniel is the only child of a single mother in Colorado. He grew up being reminded that he was so smart, so driven, so special that he could do anything. His grades earned him a Game Boy when he was a kid, a Ford Mustang when he turned 16. His mom never withheld her affection if he fell short. When he someday had his own children, he wanted to raise them the same way. I had this whole theory, McDaniel says now, that a kid has a chance in this world if they feel like they're the most important thing in the world to someone. So when he got the Dolphins' job, he didn't turn over a table or punch through a whiteboard to assert his dominance. He strove for emotional connection. He showed players vulnerability and shared his own failures, not snapshots of his brilliance. He wanted coworkers to see his devotion to work, not the appearance of work. I know in the course of my career, I've been worried about people seeing me at my desk, he says. At some point, you're like, why? This represents a full confrontation of the steel sharpens steel handbook that supposedly creates leadership, raises high-achieving children, and wins Super Bowls. It's a handbook Tagovailoa grew up on. If he had a bad game or bad grade, his father didn't exactly spare the rod. A failure may, in fact, have pushed him into the starting lineup of Alabama onto the national championship dais and into the NFL. But last year, when he suffered a gruesome concussion and crumbled to the turf, it wasn't Flores or Nick Saban or even his dad Tua Tagovailoa called out for. Medical and team personnel had no doubt whom he wanted because he kept muttering the same thing. Where's Mike, he said. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Tua, when he was concussed, was asking where Mike was, not where Saban, his dad, or Flores, Mike. McDaniel grew up not just watching his friends' dad. That shows their bond. McDaniel grew up not just watching his friends' dads, but studying them. He did the same with his coaches. Some were frothing drill sergeants. Many were impatient. A few were listeners. This was the generation taught to value obedience, toughness, and respect. Emotion was weakness. If insecurity and doubt couldn't be overcome, they were to be ignored. The boss was the boss, and yeah, he pushed you. Paul Bear Bryant, who won 6 national championships, kicked a player after he collapsed with a heart stroke. Vince Lombardi screamed at his quarterback and forced his tight end to play out on a broken foot. This wasn't bullying or abuse. It was tough love, the price of greatness. And anyone who didn't understand that was either disillusioned or soft. When McDaniel was in 5th grade, a friend lived in a big house with otherworldly comforts, lights that turned on with a button. For instance, not a traditional switch. Donna McDaniel worked for a beef distributor in Colorado, making ends meet without such frills. Her son was confused by what he saw in his friends. The boy was terrified of disappointing his dad, McDaniel says, and the whole base house was miserable. People don't even have a chance to be themselves if someone doesn't unconditionally love them, he says. They're inherently trying to be something else. Without his father, that's what McDaniel did. Maybe if he were different, his dad would have come home. He made straight A's and became a Denver Broncos ball boy, where he met coach Mike Shanahan. He fell in love with football and observed how Shanahan and offensive coordinator Gary Kubiak interacted with their sons. Kubiak's 3 boys ran around on the field, playfully competing for who would be the fastest to get the ball back to the huddle. Shanahan's son Kyle was always at his old man's side. They seemed like best friends. McDaniel wanted that, so just like Kyle, he played wide receiver for his high school team. At the Broncos facility, he glued himself to Kubiak, almost a fourth son. The kid could remember everything, a walking computer, and it showed when he got into Yale. He studied history and walked onto the football team as a wideout. When he was done, Mike Shanahan offered him an internship with the Broncos where McDaniel tinkered with data and technology as new ways to identify patterns and holes in coverage. When the Houston Texans hired Kubiak as a coach in 2006, he filled his staff with young and determined iconolists. Robert Saleh, Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan. McDaniel, then 23, wasn't so much a coach as Kubiak's personal assistant. Presentations for players, daily routine schedules, the guy you work hand in hand with, Kubiak says. It was grueling, sometimes keeping McDaniel at work until 5 a.m. The boss believed in him, but it wasn't Kubiak's approval the young man craved, so McDaniel transformed himself, this time into something who didn't need a father. Booze helped. Sometimes he would show up to work, still wobbly from the night before. Other times he overslept. Where in the hell is Mike? Kubiak says he boomed more than once. LaFleur or Kyle Shanahan would be dispatched to McDaniel's apartment to pound on the door. After one of those times, Kubiak had to fire him. I hate having to do this, he says, he told McDaniel, but sometimes things like this are the best things that can happen to you. One night in 2010, Katie Hemstock was at a nightclub in Sacramento when she met a scrawny guy who didn't believe in secrets. A few nights later, she was wearing his Yale football ring. Her grandfather joked that the guy must have a drawer full of them. Katie didn't care. She had just moved back to small-town Northern California from San Diego. Her parents were there. So were her grandparents, just one pastor down. There was something different about McDaniel, whom she had run into while celebrating a friend's birthday. Something new. McDaniel told her that he wasn't here because coaching in the United Football League was his dream. He had gotten fired from his last job for getting too drunk too often. Now he was in transformation mode, banished to the pro football hinterlands, trying to fix himself. From a young age, McDaniel says, I was set in writing on my own life's wrongs. Almost immediately, Katie learned that among McDaniel's many ambitions was to be a dad, a good dad. It's something he had never had, having met his father only a few times, and it made him curious about what had scared the man off, and why other fathers seemed more committed than others. This was a little before Thanksgiving in 2010. Katie absorbed McDaniel's story, felt the resolve in his voice, told herself the Yale ring was unique and that he was serious when he vowed to marry her. A month after they met, Katie then invited McDaniel to meet her parents, who themselves had married just 2 weeks after meeting. A few weeks after that, Katie flew to Denver to meet Mike's mom, Donna. This is real, Katie remembers thinking. If it wasn't, it was about to be. A few weeks later, Kyle Shanahan, McDaniel's old work buddy from Houston, called. His dad was set to be coach in Washington, and Kyle would be his offensive coordinator. A few old Houston guys would fill out the staff. There was a job for McDaniel if he wanted it. He did. Katie wanted to come with him. Are you sure? He asked. You need to know what you're getting into. The life of a football coach isn't easy. Neither is that of an NFL spouse. Long hours, questionable priorities, chronic stress that can be corrosive to both marriages and good health. Coaches' wives have a grim name for their club, football widows. But there was something bewitching about McDaniel's positivity. Katie had never left California. She had gone to school to be an esthetician. Look at this. And would be happy to live simply on the pasture and in the salon. She had gotten swept up by a force of nature, and 3 months after meeting McDaniel, Katie was ready to follow McDaniel anywhere. Listen, I'm going to stop there. There's so much more. I suggest all of you go read that article because, you're not seeing it. The impact of him is so huge. It's so huge. You need to go read that. That article, we're like not even halfway through that article. Go read that. But listen, you got a woman following him from one side of the world to one side of the U.S. to the other. And you got Tua Tagovailoa in his first year with Mike McDaniel saying, where's Mike when he's down and injured and out. We are so blessed to have such a fantastic head coach. Let me just say that. We are just so blessed to have a guy like Mike McDaniel as our coach. And to see him having this success, man, not a lot of people deserve this success he's having right now. And hopefully he can add to that collection of coaches he's worked with that have Super Bowls and become one himself. Go check that out. It's under the Washington Post. Go check out that article. I implore all of you. I'll be here for another half hour reading it. So I wanted to read at least that first half to show you that a woman took a chance on him and followed him from one side of the U.S. to another. And our quarterback, our franchise quarterback, the guy we all love, Tua Tagovailoa, when he got hurt, when he got concussed, he wasn't asking for his dad. He was asking for Mike McDaniel. Shows the impact he has had as a person and a coach. We are blessed. We are blessed. Keeping on here, David Long, he said today, everything is just hitting at the right time now that the Dolphins defense has gotten used to playing with one another in the system. I'm going to go back to it. I told everyone, y'all were panicking way too early. The fire Vic, this defense sucks. Everyone's just ready to jump off these ledges and these bridges. And I get it. People are out here trying to fearmonger you and try to feed and fuel the fire and trying to rile you up and gas you up. But no, man, we are, 9 weeks in. This defense, especially since week 2, has been outstanding. It's been one of the top run defenses in the NFL since week 2. It's just going to get better. This defense is going to get better. And ladies and gentlemen, we have not hit the stride on both sides of the football with the defense and with the offense. It's coming, baby. You best believe it's coming. And it's going to come in the second half. And I hope it comes in week 14-ish and we ride that baby right into the playoffs. This team hasn't peaked yet, people. The peak is coming. And you will know when this team peaks when you start getting games where the defense is lights out and that offense finds that gear we know they're capable of. It's coming, baby. It's coming, and let's just hope it peaks into that season, and that's what we're hoping for. And that's what we're trending for. So, man, love it, right? And then finally here, I thought this is interesting. Look what Jaelan Phillips said today. Jaelan Phillips believes in positive coach vibes, going back to McDaniel earlier, coming off that article we read there. I think everything starts from the top down when you have a coach who's really uptight and just, sorry for my language, mother fucks you all the time, It makes everybody tight and makes everybody tighten up. Gee, I wonder who Jaelan Phillips is talking about, because people seem to sweep it under the rug. All the Flores sympathizers sweep it under the rug and seem to forget. Y'all remember, I read the article on here, Jaelan Phillips admitted publicly he was seeing a sports psychiatrist because of how Flores and that staff absolutely shot his confidence in how they treated him. People try to make the Flores thing just Flores and Tua, but I told all y'all while all was going on, X hated him, and other players didn't like him too. And, right there speaks volumes, man. The culture is beautiful in Miami right now. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch and be a part of, man. Over 365 of you in the room. Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Tomorrow, myself, Dudley Durong, Richmond Webb, Mr. Ballgame, Neil Driscoll, Martin Ukbai, and of course, Kevin Dern. We are going to be live for the mid-season roundtable for all of you guys tomorrow. All right? We're going to be live around 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. We're going to look at how our predictions that we made preseason are looking up until this point. We're going to talk about what we are expecting in the second half. Man, it's going to be a good show tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. We're kicking it off right back to the Raiders week, back to football. No Tua Tuesday, so instead of Tua Tuesday, hey, we're doing Tua Tuesday panel instead, baby. So make sure you check us out tomorrow. Again, we'll be live around 9 p.m. And then we'll be live on 7:45 on Wednesday for the Finish Line with Richmond and Ballgame. Then me and Neil for Fin Too Deep at 5 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. And then I'll be back at 5 p.m. Eastern on Friday to preview the Raiders and the Dolphins. And then guess what, baby? Live reaction this Sunday and the postgame show. It returns, fifth quarter postgame show. Missed all y'all this weekend, but we're getting back to it. So make sure you check out tomorrow night's Tuesday night midseason panel. Myself, Doug Lee, the whole cast. Make sure you check it out, all right? And don't forget, hey, a couple weeks, Omar will be back on the channel. So smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Have a fantastic Monday evening. And I will see all y'all in the next one. And until then, again, fins up, baby. See y'all on the next one. Have a fantastic evening, everyone.